I was employed part-time at the geriatric unit at the Paraparamu Hospital, which no longer exists now. And there were people coming in for respite care, 2 weeks in the hospital and 6 weeks at home. And one of them was a man who'd had a very dense stroke, and he'd been a New Zealand bowling champion. I took my table bowls into work one day to encourage him to use his arms, and he enjoyed it so much that after he went home, I went and visited him at home and suggested a few things that could go on in the home. And I'd been doing that for a few weeks and happened to mention it to Beryl Ingram, who was my boss at Porirua Hospital, and she said, "You shouldn't be doing that." I said, "But it's needed." So she arranged that I could become a district physiotherapist. So I guess I started that effort there, and it's still going. To begin with, I had to use my own car and got paid a mileage for it. Then the district nurses arranged for the physiotherapist to have her own car, which was a tiny little mini van with doors that didn't shut at the back properly, no heating. And as you drove along, the exhaust gases got sucked in through the wobbly doors, and you felt quite dizzy by the time you got to where you were going. And if it was winter, you were wrapped up in a grey woolen blanket. So that's pioneering days, 1976 through to 1987 I did that. And the beginning of 1987 I was appointed charge physiotherapist at Porirua Hospital for the long-term disabled, and it covered Puketiro, which was for the disabled children, and the mental hospital. There were 17 staff there. That was very interesting because computers were just starting to come in then. So I was getting on the computer and downloading, putting all the paper copies of everything onto the computer. I enjoyed that. Then there was a huge change in the health system in New Zealand, and area health boards came in. The physiotherapy department at Porirua became amalgamated with the Kennett Hospital one, and I was without a job. But the physiotherapist who was doing physio around the mental hospital wards, her husband was a headmaster and had accepted an appointment in the Pacific on an island, and she went with him, and I filled in her job for 2 years, and then she didn't come back. So I ended up being 6 years working at Porirua Hospital in the forensic unit. And that was fascinating work. When I first started there was an occupational therapist, but he left after about 6 months, and I ended up sort of doing a bit of occupational therapy as well as physiotherapy. Not truly, but used some of the ways of working with people that would be more usually thought of as occupational therapy. I found that some of the exercises and movements that I was expected to teach the really very seriously sick people just didn't work because they weren't capable of processing the instructions. They had no idea what their bodies were telling them. So one of the little ploys I used was to suggest that when they were having their shower every morning, that they open their mouths and let the raindrops fall on their tongues, so that the shower drops actually stimulated the tongues and the lips. I came at that from having worked with the Puketiro physios in stimulating very disabled babies and children and getting them to start thinking about how their bodies work. So I transferred that over to these great big gorgeous guys, full of tats, full of wild woolly hair, mostly Maori. I never went into the showers with them. But they started responding because the first part of the body that a baby touches, isn't it, is when the baby feeds. So I thought if I stimulate from there, and we gradually worked it out, and some of the people in the end would accept a massage from me. anyone who'd been with their own mother till about the age of 7 was okay to work with like that. If for some reason the person came from a disruptive, broken home and didn't have mothering before the age of 7, they were very, very difficult to get hold of, to even approach, and you could never trust them because they really simply didn't know how to react. And that was really sad. I found it interesting that I wasn't allowed to take them into the swimming pool. They've got a really good swimming pool at what's called Kennett now. The nursing staff took everyone into the pool there for exercise and relaxation.